Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I was going to do a video about fitness, but something else kind of occurred to me, and I'm still sort of wrapping my head around the thought, so just bear with me if I meander a little bit and maybe get sidetracked, because I'm trying to think through something that I want to talk about, but I don't know that I quite have a handle on it yet. What I really want to talk about is sort of, and this is particular to gaming. I'm not talking about this around other subjects like politics or anything like that. I'm talking about this in the realm of gaming, and gamers will know what I mean. But I want to talk about flame wars and debates online around gaming issues and anything peripheral to that, like history or whatever. I think we waste a lot of time doing that. I think I've wasted a lot of time. I know I've seen other people do it. I don't do that anymore, and I have some simple rules that I abide by to make sure I don't. And to me, it's the biggest. You don't really change much. You either get irritated or you inflate your ego because you're winning a debate. But nobody really shifts their position, and when they do, I don't think it's always for the best, because, I mean, let's face it, when people get into debates online, my suspicion is that most of the time, folks aren't even, they're not even really talking about things they know. They're looking things up as they're debating, and I think that makes for a very shallow debate. I think it's very different if you have a handle on a subject and you're recalling information from memory and recalling things that you've thought about and spent time sort of going over different sources on, versus you're just going to Wikipedia or whatever site you happen to use to vet things and to check facts and different news sources. It just becomes a sort of cherry picking fest where people just go online and grab facts that support their position, regardless of how good those facts are, or how factual they are. They find sources, and some of them are questionable. Some of them need more context. So, and my point here isn't really to talk about sources and facts and things like this. Talk about just shaving time off your day from spending hours online debating with people on whether it's Threads or Facebook or Google Plus. I don't care what the venue is. So my rule number one is, whenever I see a topic, I really think, hey, do I really want to weigh in on this? And then if I do weigh in, I say, okay, I'm going to give my opinion, but I'm not going to check in. I'll say what I have to say, and I don't really care what people follow up with after that. And, and occasionally, if it's a topic that interests me enough, I might want to follow it and sort of weigh in later. But I really cut down on, don't do the thing where you post and then you keep checking to see if somebody's, posted a response, or anytime you see a response, you respond. Wait like a day, wait 2 days, wait 3 days, and then maybe 3 days later post a response to a response to you that you think warrants some kind of follow-up. So the other thing I do is, if I can't recall it from memory, then I don't weigh in. So if somebody, let's just use an example. If people are debating the existence of a particular weapon in an era of history, and for whatever reason you feel like, yeah, I know about this era, so I really need to weigh in, or I think I know this answer even though I don't have the specifics. If I can't recall the specifics from memory, I just don't weigh in. I forget about it. I don't go online, look it up. I don't do any of that stuff. I see people, you can tell when people are doing that, and I think that it makes for really, like I said, it makes for really shallow discussions, but it also makes for, and forgive my language, it makes for the biggest assholes on the internet. If you're constantly trying to prove how much you know by looking things up on the fly, then you don't know shit. You don't know anything. So don't pretend like you know. Go and read a bunch of books on the subject and then come back to the conversation. But don't waste people's time by waiting for posts, seeing what people say, then going looking stuff up to respond. To me, that's just not, that you're not really building a knowledge base that way. It's one of the things that I think is sort of, I like the internet, and I think there are a lot of things that are great about the internet. One thing is, if somebody says something, you can check pretty quickly to find out if it's not correct. So if somebody says, the revolution was fought in 1776, you can you can check that out. You can go and find the dates and elaborate on what they just said, or clarify, and talk about when the when the when the war actually began, when it ended, why 1776 is a key date. That can be useful. But if you just use it constantly, it just produces ignorance. It doesn't produce. It produces like a scholarly ignorance. It's a unique thing that we need a word for it, because people come across as knowing a lot when they really don't, and they really muddy the waters of any discussion. So again, I just think that if you don't know something, don't weigh in. If somebody points out where you're wrong, accept it. Look at the information and let it register. Don't just go right into battle mode. So I think, again, going in there without any sort of if you don't know something on a subject, just don't weigh in. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I see people who don't know anything about a topic weighing in like they know stuff, and it's annoying. And it's annoying because not because they don't know anything. I think it's totally fine to participate in a discussion when you don't know certain things. I participate in discussions where I don't know about a topic, or my knowledge is limited. It's the pretense that it's everybody acting like they're a professor of X, and talking to everybody else like they're total morons. That, to me, is a sign of somebody just not being. I don't know what it is, but it's just not a way to be. I'm much more. I have a lot more respect and admiration for people who will who are knowledgeable, but will say when they don't know something. I mean, nobody knows everything. So when somebody comes into a conversation and every point that comes up, they seem to have all the facts. That, to me, is a red. That's like a big flashing red sign. Like, okay, this person thinks they know a lot about this subject, but they really don't know a lot about this subject. Because someone who knows about the subject knows that they don't know X, Y, and Z about it. They know that there are areas where they have gaps in their knowledge, and they have to check, and they have to ask people that know more than them occasionally. And if somebody comes in and is just always telling everybody that they know everything, something's not right. And these days, the bulk of online conversations really seem to be like that. So I just avoid them now. I don't get involved. And I save a lot of time. So my other rule is, if I see a conversation online, I know it's sort of flame worthy. It's more than people just weighing in saying, yeah, I agree, or yeah, I like this movie or that movie. I say, okay, do I want to participate in this discussion for the next hour, or do I want to make a dungeon for the next hour, or an NPC, or whatever it is. Watch a movie, whatever it is that's on your plate that sort of you could do that's maybe a little more productive, not necessarily work, but something. That's what I do. And I think, I guarantee you, if every time you're about to either embarrass somebody else or embarrass yourself in an online conversation, if instead you made a dungeon, you made an NPC, you sketched out an adventure, your gaming would be a lot better than if you wasted an hour talking about I don't know whatever people are debating about alignments or history or morale. It's all, whatever it is. It ultimately becomes a discussion about expertise in a given subject. So if it's an alignment discussion, people come in and start debating philosophy. If it's a sort of like a weapon discussion, history, or combat comes in. So whatever it is, it'll ultimately become a discussion about expertise. And you don't gain anything by proving to people on a forum that you're an expert. You gain nothing. You gain nothing except maybe the temporary respect of the people on the forum. More likely, you gain their ire, and it just doesn't. And then eventually, it goes away anyway. So it's not really anything that lasts. And I'm not against forums. I like forums. I think that there's a time and a place for productive discussion about games and topics and other things too. Like, a lot of forums have off-topic sections and stuff. I think there's just better and worse ways to use them. And if it's not productive, then why do it? So again, I think if you can't recall by memory, don't participate. If subject comes up and you don't know enough to participate without looking something up on Wikipedia, just don't participate. When a subject comes up, consider doing something else that's more productive. And if you do engage in it, just be a little bit humble. Don't go in there like to be the smartest guy in the room. I think that's, I don't know, to me that's like and I'm guilty of it too. I think as geeks and gamers and nerds, we kind of do that. But like I've learned over time, the moment somebody shows off their expertise, I start becoming suspicious. Even myself, like when I start doing that now, I realize, I might not know as much about this subject as I think I do. So I try to catch myself now. If I sense that I'm doing that, rather than talk about a subject, rather than, if I'm getting involved in a conversation and I'm sort of adamant that I know maybe a little more about something than I really do, and I find myself sort of wanting to look up stuff, instead of continuing this discussion, I go and I pick up the books I think I need to pick up in order to refresh my knowledge of the topic. And, and that's helped me way more than talking with other people who are just looking stuff up as they talk online. You will gain way more knowledge if you just stop the conversation and go and do the reading and get, again, good sources, good, reliable, books, go to places that are reputable. Don't get all of your knowledge from Wikipedia. So I don't know. I hope I haven't meandered too much. Again, I guess this is just sort of about. It's funny. The internet, it makes us a lot smarter in a lot of ways, but it also makes us a lot more ignorant. I think because we can kind of cherry pick at our leisure, and sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. Like I said, to vet. If somebody gives you a specific date or a fact and you want to check it, it's very easy to do. I don't know, people who didn't grow up with that might not realize, like before, if you had a smart person in the room and they said something, you kind of took it on faith because you couldn't, you could pull out an encyclopedia, but you had to do some actual work to get the information. And the chances of you having the right book to check the fact wasn't always 100%. Even if you had a full shelf of encyclopedias, it's not like Google. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't check everything. If somebody said, "Oh yeah, this company's based in Wisconsin," how the hell am I going to find that out without the internet? It can do it, but it's going to take. I might actually have to call the company and find out where they're based. So and as a result, I think it was easier for certain facts to enter circulation and remain as facts before they got debunked. But now we have this thing where, I don't know, it just feels like. That aspect of it has been held in check, but there's still this proliferation of ignorance that's almost aided by the ease with which we can acquire information. It's sort of like a shallow level of understanding. So it's like we have this widespread but very shallow understanding of topics. So again, for me, I've really benefited by just sort of stepping back, only participating when I think it's productive, and again that metric that am I going by memory or am I going to have to look stuff up? If I'm going by memory, I'll weigh in. If I have to look stuff up, I'll look stuff up. And if I won't participate. And if I have to, if I think also just telling people what you don't know is important. Like everybody wants to, like I know online people like to sort of, it's all like, sort of keep your guard up. Put your best face forward. I don't think that's healthy for us. I think that's actually damaging. So that's one of the reasons why in these videos I try to sort of be clear about what I don't know. Maybe check my pronunciations if they're wrong, that kind of thing. I think that's important because I don't like the idea that and I understand the temptation and I've succumbed to it too, but like this whole building a sort of a facade of who you really are for for people online. It's not real, and I think gets us into a lot of trouble, and it results in a lot of suffering if you buy into your own hype too much. So really just step back, and don't leave the flame wars for other people. Participate if you legitimately have the knowledge, and don't participate to trump. There's nothing to be gained by stomping on other people online. Like I've really learned that if a conversation is about you gaining and about the other person gaining, and if that's not happening, if somebody isn't really gaining anything from the interaction, I don't know, if it's just producing hurt feelings on both sides, there's no point. And that's that. I don't know. For me, that's been helpful. Hopefully, it'll be for others. I hope people don't get too. Again, I know I usually don't get too much flack in these, but I usually stay away from these kinds of topics. So if you disagree, again, feel free to weigh in. But I like I've said in other posts, I'm not really going to respond if people say, oh, you're ugly, or oh, I don't like you, or whatever. Or oh, you're stupid and ignorant. I'm not gonna. I'll just let it. Say what you want to say, and I won't care. If you have an argument against me, say it. I don't care. But in terms of the dialogue between other posters, just keep it productive. Don't. I don't know. I don't want. I don't really want any of that in here these days. So as long as it's productive, you can say what you want, but just don't. I don't know. Don't use it to preen and parade yourself for other people. I just don't need that on my feed. So all right, I will talk to you later.